Ladies and gentlemen, it is good to be back, and thank you for tuning into this episode of the Hanging Up the Boots podcast. For those of you who don't follow the podcast's Instagram page, which you should, um, it's been a pretty hectic month and a half or so with the quarantine and work. School ended, I moved, and everything's kind of falling into place now. So, we're back on it. Everything's coming together and we're back. So, this episode is with Brittaney Barts, the wife of Cam Barts, who I already did an episode with. If you haven't listened to that, go back and do so now. It kind of informs some of the stuff that we talk about during the episode. But she is a Marine as well. But she was medically separated after a serious hip injury that she incurred during her time in the Marine Corps. So we talk about that, the problems that she had at her shop, which were pretty extensive, and then what it's like being a mom and how that affects you during the transition out of the military. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Brittaney Barts here, the wife of my best friend Cam, who, if you haven't listened to his episode, please go do it. Um, but after an unfortunately long hiatus from the podcast, I wanted to have Brittaney on. She's really close with me and my girl, and I wanted her to be the first female on the show, and she's had a pretty unique run in the Marine Corps. She came from a military family, married to a Marine, enlisted herself, had an experience unlike anybody that we've had on the show so far, and then had a baby who I am very proud to be the godfather of. Not to pat myself on the back, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty proud of it. Um, but she's also literally the only baby on earth that I actually like. Um, but I'm really excited to have you here, dude. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So, as we always start off on the show, um, it's how you got, like, what landed you on the Yellow Footprints, and I kind of outed you already that you came from a military family, but you just kind of want to
Yeah.
spin us up on that.
Well, for the most part, it was my dad, because he was in the Marine Corps, and I grew up like always hearing those stories and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
just thought it was like really cool, and I was like, well, my dad did it, so I'm gonna do that.
And
But
was that before? Because me and Cam were already in for a while when you decided to
yeah.
enlist. Was that like, was that a plan that you had before then, like when you were growing up, or
Um,
was that kind of just like not a spur of the moment thing, but
not really. I didn't like think about it growing up, but
hmm
like I didn't want to go to school, and I didn't want to be like a teacher.
hmm
Like I knew that. No, nothing against teachers, but like
yeah,
I just didn't want to do that.
it's not for everybody,
And
man. I couldn't
yeah,
do it. I don't like kids enough.
yeah, I can't. Like I
Yeah,
can't teach kids.
I gotcha.
But
So you wanted to. It was partially from your dad, and then you saw you were around Marines all the time, and
yeah,
so that you kind of wanted to do that. And even though we told you not to, I distinctly remember
yeah,
that. Yeah. Um,
yeah.
and it was while we were was it kind of in your brain for those of you outside of our immediate group of friends. This all kind of went down when Brittany enlisted while Cam and I were overseas.
Yeah.
At least that's when like the paperwork got signed and stuff like that. It's just kind of fell into place that way. Um, were you kind of on like thinking about that before we had left, or did that kind of spring up while we were out there, or what?
Um. Well, it's hard because I was originally gonna do it when I was still in high school because I had already graduated.
Okay.
Like before I enlisted or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um. But like when Cameron was on boot leave, like I started to look into it and I was like, I think I could probably do like the Navy or something. And I went to the Navy recruiter and he ended up being like the worst douchebag. Like,
Really?
yeah. So I was like, no, not doing that.
Hmm.
And then I was like, well, I can't really go anywhere else, so I'll just go to the Marine Corps and did that.
The island of
And
misfit toys. Yeah.
yeah. But then like when I was in high school, I like something ended up happening at home or something like my senior year with my sister and all that nonsense. So I was like, probably not right now,
Yeah.
but I probably should have done it then because maybe things would have ended up differently. But yeah, anyway, so I wanted to do it then, and then I ended up like just telling them like, hey, now it's not the right time. Like I can't. I got a lot of stuff going on. So
Right.
just put it off for a little bit, and I still like thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if I could really do something like this. Like I don't know if this is like my thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's not for everybody. It ended up being, um, a good experience for you to experience a whole lot of life in a very short period of time,
yeah,
which is not easy, which we'll get into. But so we're out there. You find yourself in the Marine Corps. Your family life at back in Virginia. Brittany is from Virginia,
yeah,
with like right next to Cam. They lived down the street from each other.
yeah. Weird enough, we didn't know each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Um, but so we're out there. You're enlisting against all of our wishes.
yeah.
I,
Well, like the reason I did that is because like a different recruiter than the one that I had called me, and I was like, well, I was literally just thinking about this like the other
mhm.
day, so I was like, maybe I should.
Maybe
So
it's a
I like started to
sign.
look
Yeah,
into it, yeah. And he took full advantage of like Cameron being gone and like me not knowing a single thing. So
that's yeah,
ended up
that's
enlisting and not even knowing it.
that's
That kind
recruiters
of
for you.
sucks.
Except for Abby Sites, we love you. You're not like that.
Yeah,
Um,
wish he was my recruiter.
oh right, but um, the other thing too is that I remember you telling me in a while ago that the main impetus for you enlisting was fear of regretting if you didn't. Like if you
Yeah,
went through life, your dad having been in the military or in the Marine Corps specifically, Cam having been in the Marine Corps, and you having kind of had an on again off again desire to enlist and to experience it and see what it was all about. If you didn't do it, that question would have kind of always followed you around.
yeah.
And I mean, do you think it was a good, like in retrospect, knowing what you know now, do you think it was the right choice? Do you think it was you said that maybe it would have been better had you gone in right after high school,
Yeah.
but then again you might not have ended up with Cam,
Well,
maybe.
like stationed together?
No, I mean like if you enlisted right after, well, no, I guess you guys were already together by then, right?
Yeah, that's why
Oh, yeah,
like when he
duh.
was on boot leave, I was like, I feel
Right.
like
Duh.
dual military would be super cool, but like it's
That's tough
it
though.
was challenging, yeah.
Yeah,
Because he would have duty and then like I would have duty and it was just he would have bad days in the Marine Corps and then I would also always have bad days in the Marine Corps.
yeah. Yeah, you
So
had a really rough go of it. So, let's get into what you actually did while you were in. So, you enlisted, you go to boot camp, you go to MCT. Anything stand out to you about boot camp and MCT? I remember you telling me a hilarious story about your senior putting like some stanchion at the back of
yeah,
your squad bay or something. So,
that was like the funniest thing ever too.
yeah, it was
And I don't even
ridiculous.
know. Yeah, it was like I think it was like you know when you have what is it called? Like the first like tornado, like the
Oh,
first
mhm.
inspection and then they like just wreck everything.
Yeah.
Um it was that and I think like we had like another one and they were
Another
like you
tornado.
guys are so disgusting, your senior has quit or like whatever.
Oh my
And so
god.
they like taped her belt or her belt
Mhm.
across the stanchion and they were like this is your new senior drill instructor and you don't talk to us, you talk to the stanchion.
God damn it.
And they'd be like, "You're not screaming loud enough," and they'd be like in the duty hut or whatever.
While you're yelling at an inanimate object. God,
Yeah, and they
boot
like
camp is
the stanchion was
ridiculous.
right in front of me,
Oh my god.
like right in front of like where I was standing online and shit. So I'd just literally be like
Trying not to
staring at
die
all these girls. Yeah, they would just like screaming at the top of their lungs, like to a
at
fucking
nothing.
stanchion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for our non-marine friends, a tornado is when everybody online has to dump out their footlockers and strip their racks and throw everything into the middle of the squad bay, and then you all have to walk around in a circle and kick everything so that it all gets mixed together, and then you have a minute to put it all back. So it's
Yeah.
it's an exercise in futility, um, and usually it ends up with hilarious results, like your senior drill instructor quit allegedly. Anyway,
Staff Sergeant Stanchion, like what the fuck?
yeah, I don't know. That's so good though. But
Yeah, that was funny.
yeah. So, and did you get hurt at all through boot camp?
Um, I think cause I have like some like shoulder blade injury that they didn't like diagnose me.
Mm-hmm.
I think at boot camp the flax, I think it pinching against like my
Oh.
collarbone or something, like in the back of my shoulder blade, like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a burning pain that like goes all the way like up my neck. So I
Oh.
think that was from boot camp because that was like the first time that I remember that, like feeling that.
Mm-hmm. Have you been to like
And
a
I think
chiropractor or anything since?
well, they made me do a little bit of chiropractor in my physical therapy,
Uh-huh.
and all he did was like adjust my back.
Mm.
And then he was like, "Did it work?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "Oh, okay, well, sorry, like good luck. Bye." I
Good
was
thing
like,
that
"Oh,
that guy has a doctorate in chiropractics.
yeah."
You should get one of those massage guns. Lexi and I
Yeah,
bought one.
Cameron got me one of those for
Dude,
Mother's Day.
they're awesome.
Yeah, it's a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it wasn't super bad in boot camp. What about MCT?
Yeah, MCT, like I got several different injuries and like they weren't bad, but like I still have like troubles with my ankles, trouble with my like feet and stuff like that, and my hip.
Mm-hmm.
I think the hikes with the males, like
Yeah.
uh they're what is it, like your instep or just your stride?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that was like I think I was like overextending or something and like I pulled my hip
Mm.
and it ended up being like my cartilage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's actually like one of the main points that I wanted to cover with you and explain to the listeners, is there's a constant, it's almost a meme at this point, and not a good one, that
yeah.
females in the Marine Corps have an astronomically higher instance of injury, and the general consensus is that the the way that the gear is designed to bear weight on someone's body is the way it's designed is for male anatomy. Broader shoulders, narrower hips.
Yeah.
And so that's why I can't even, pretty much everybody I knew at Radio Battalion, honestly, at every female at one point had some kind of knee or hip injury
Yeah.
because of rucking either with the battalion or like as a holdover injury from MCT or something like that. And the everyone's kind of on the same page that it's from rucking with the main packs and how you have the strap around your belly and it's supposed to put most of the load on your hips and not the middle of your back, and it clearly has an adverse effect on female frames.
Yeah.
And you obviously experienced that firsthand. So you get through MCT battered, a little bit worse for wear, and you get to, where was your school?
Freaking Meridian, Mississippi.
Oh,
It fell under
I forgot about that.
Pensacola.
Okay,
Like we were under their command.
gotcha.
Like they were like right next to each other too.
So can
Well,
you can you tell
kind of.
everyone what it is exactly that your MOS was?
So my job was I was a 6042 and that's Emerald IMRL,
Mm-hmm.
and it's individual material readiness list. And basically you keep like an up to date, like highly accurate, um like system of gear that's used to like calibrate and fix the engines of like birds and stuff.
So you were, yeah, you were in the air wing, right? You were a
Mm,
winger. Okay.
yeah.
So you get through Meridian in Mississippi, dude. Goddamn. Ouch. Um,
Yeah, that was rough.
yeah. And so you get put at what unit was it at Pendleton? You were on Pendleton, clearly.
Yeah. Freaking Mouse 39. Sorry. Try to.
It's okay. It's been a little while. Um, so you get to the wing, and when you were checking in, what was that like for you? Like, were you? It's always kind of daunting. Like, I remember when I got to Radio Battalion, I was like, finally, the mythical fleet. I'm here, dude. I made it.
Yeah.
And then I got there and I see all these dudes with long ass hair walking around with beat up ass camis, and I was like, wow, this is different.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect this at all. Um, and it was a little daunting to just kind of get thrown into the deep end a little bit. Was it like that at
Yeah.
Meridian, or how was in processing for you?
Well, Meridian, I think we
Or
got there
not
like,
Meridian, the
oh,
mouse. My bad.
Mouse. Um. Well, when I got there, my staff NCO had like called me. I think like as I landed or something like that, and he had like added me on Facebook. So I was like, oh, this seemed kind of cool. Um, they have
Mm-hmm.
social media, like they seem kind of cool. Like whatever, I'll add them. Um,
Mistake
they're
number one.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he called me, and I was like, yeah, I just got here, staff sergeant. Like, I was being respectful and everything from the get go. So,
Mm. Well, you're
um,
brand new. You'd been in the Marine Corps what 7 months
like
at this
two
point?
seconds. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like not even a year that I
Yeah.
hit the fleet. Um, but I got there and I was like, oh, I'm expecting them to be like pretty cool, and they let me have like the day to check in or whatever because they knew that I was married. They knew that I had to like move into my apartment and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me until the next day to come in, and I met one of the other lance corporals there, and she was like, okay, when you get there, just don't say anything, like keep your mouth shut, just say aye staff sergeant, like, and sergeant and shit like that. And I was like, why? They're like, because they're gonna lay into you. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, I haven't done anything wrong. I literally
Great.
just got here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was swell. So I got in there and they laid into me uh for some shit. I don't even remember, but that was like first time that I was like, oh, so these guys are assholes. They're not
Off to a
good
good start.
people.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was when we lived at we all had our apartment in Melrose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So at this point, you moved in, we're all living together, it's all fine and dandy. Immediately, we were like, "Oh no.
Yeah.
Her
From
unit
day
is
one,
yeah,
like as
right
soon
off
as
the
I
bat."
walked in there.
Yeah, we were like, "Oh god, this is going to be a problem."
Yeah.
So, the general feeling while you were at Mouse was not good. It was very, and I can't overstate that enough. Like, I remember Brittany coming home every single day. I maybe not every single day, but pretty
For
fucking
the
close.
most part.
Yeah, pretty damn close to every day. Just being like, well, had some more shit at work today, blah blah blah. And the wing for non marine people, the wing is kind of like infantry units in the sense that they spend a lot of time and energy on the green side stuff. So
Yeah. Oh my god.
haircuts, camis, cleaning, police calls, etc.
Oh yeah, we did FOD walk every morning, and that was like
And
mainly for the birds
and
and stuff like that. But like
what was
still,
FOD walk?
basically just police call, but like the flight line.
So
So
the whole flight line.
not like where they stage the birds, but like in the fenced area,
Mm-hmm.
like where we like worked and stuff. You had to make sure like there's no FOD and stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, just getting all of the debris off of a football field sized parking lot.
Yeah, every single morning,
Yeah, sounds
like
awesome.
first thing in the morning. You couldn't do anything like with your day. You weren't allowed to do any kind of work unless we did FOD walk first thing in the morning.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, great time.
Yeah.
So you get there, you're instantly having a shitty time. Your command blows. Everyone kind of knows about it. Like the fact that a lance corporal, when you were getting there, and were you still a private when you got there, or were you a
Yeah, I
pursuit?
was a private.
Yeah, so you're a bear collar private. You get there, there's a lance corporal. You've seen maybe two of those by then, and
Yeah, and like I went to school with her. Like
oh gee,
Stuart and Tao, they were at the schoolhouse. They were the class before me, so like they went to the same unit that I ended up going to too.
right. And so right off the rip, they're coming to you saying, just keep your head down. Your command is gonna fuck you up for nothing,
Yeah.
literally nothing. So right away, you're like, okay, this is not gonna be a good time.
Yeah, and I was like, what? Like, what have I done wrong? Like, you didn't even
Exactly.
give me a chance.
Yeah. And then it got progressively worse.
Like, yeah, significantly worse.
So when did all of the shit start happening with your injuries? Because that was like looking back on it for me, that was the clearest um the most enduring cause of conflict for you and them was the fact that you were hurt,
Yeah, and then
like
I said
actual
something about it.
yeah, like actually hurt too. It's not like, malingering is this like the most egregious thing you can do in the Marine Corps, like faking an injury, but you were like very obviously seriously injured.
Yeah, and like I
And
couldn't even stand like straight for long periods of time. Like obviously switching my weight constantly. Like
mhm.
I couldn't put any kind of weight on it, and I couldn't run. Like
And that was your hip or your knee?
it's my hip.
Right. And was that an injury from MCT or did you hurt it at Mal's?
I'm not sure. I think I like hurt it at boot camp because I
Mhm.
remember getting like the biggest bruise. It was like this big,
Mhm.
like on my hip, and I was like, oh, that's weird. That's probably those little, those walls that you have to get over at boot camp. You have to like
Right, yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
I thought it was from that, and I was like, nah, it kind of feels a little strange, but I'm not gonna say anything about it. And I just like ignored it, put it off as much as I could, and
Right.
it kept getting worse.
Mhm.
And when I went to the Mals and like did the PT with them, obviously because I wasn't on Limdo or anything, um, we would run like 4 miles like every day
Mhm.
of the like hills and shit on
R-
Pendleton.
right.
That shit just that made it like so much worse. It just tore it up.
Yeah. And so you go to medical, you and they bungled it up just as bad, you know.
Yeah.
They did give you the Limdu chits or whatever, right?
Yeah. They did that.
So yeah,
But
you got the Limdu, and that was when it started getting pretty gnarly with your command, right?
yeah. Cause there was already a Marine there. She was like the most senior there of the Lance Corporals or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she had a hip injury too, and she was getting off of Limdu because her injury had gotten like a little better. Um, so I think they thought that I was supposed to do the same thing, and then when I wasn't getting any better, like they, I don't know, thought that maybe I was like faking. They were like, "Oh, she just wants to get out, like she's just a shitty Marine, like
Mm-hmm.
type things."
Yeah.
But it was just so strange to me because like towards the end, like my staff NCO, the one who like called me like not a Marine and shit in front of my whole fucking shop,
Mm-hmm.
uh, got put on a med board too. So his little ass had to do the same fucking shit that I did. And he was like literally belittling me in front of like my entire shop because I was injured.
Yeah. Sounds like a
So
real
he
cool
called me
guy.
not a Marine. He was like, "You can't even hold your rifle. You're not even a Marine." Like, because I was injured.
Yikes. Real cool
I like
guy.
I didn't ask for this injury. I didn't ask for this. Like I
No.
didn't ask for your shitty ass fucking leadership either.
Mm-hmm. And we're glossing over a lot of stuff, but this it was so bad between uh Brittany's leadership and her and Cameron for that matter that like Cam at one point they went to a family day and
Oh
they
yeah.
like they were giving Cam shit about it because Cam was coaching or not coaching but helping guide Brittany because we were back from deployment by now obviously And he was helping guide Brittany through the procedures for you know what to do when you have a really terrible toxic command.
Yeah.
Like he was helping keep on top of medical appointments, and making sure that if she ever had to request mast, which was a very like a very real
Like we
possibility.
almost did that.
Yeah, like it almost came to that, because it wasn't hazing per se, in the
It
technical
kind of
tense.
was.
Well,
Sometimes
I
it
mean,
was.
yeah, that's true. That is a good point. With the way that they singled you out and stuff, but it was just very directed belittling, like you said, for
Yeah.
absolutely no reason. And so, yeah, I remember that was that was a big source of a conflict. Like Cam got our first sergeant involved in trying to
Yeah.
figure out what the best course of action was to protect your health, but to help improve your health, but also to try and improve your command climate, to no
Yeah.
avail, clearly. But so you get through, and you're not getting better, and you're doing the physical therapy like rigorously.
Yeah.
How long were you on limited duty for?
Man, I don't remember exactly when it started, but it was like
Because you did at
I
least
got
one six
there.
month term.
Yeah. I think I was on light duty for like I think 3 months or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But and then after that he put me on one term of LAMDU and then I ended up being separated.
Okay. So do you
So I'm not sure.
so
It was
give us
like
the rundown on getting separated.
um so I had this persistent injury and they were like asking me what I wanted to do. They were like, we could keep you on physical therapy or we could try to put you on LIMDU to see if we can do other like treatments for you. Because if you're just on light duty, we can't like give you these like because I got steroid injections, for example. Like they wouldn't be able to do that with me on light duty because it like expires like
Okay.
shorter.
Right.
So yeah, LIMDU is just like an extended light duty, but like with more like serious, I guess, with more serious restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I did that, and you're doing physical therapy along with it. I was going like 3 times a week, I think,
Mm-hmm.
like during lunchtime, during my chows and stuff. And I think that was like 7 months total that it was on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but so I did all that, and the doctor was like, "Well, we can do these steroid injections, or we could do surgery, but for your type of injury, it could or could not work. So we don't recommend it." And I was like, "So what do I do? Like, what do I have to do after that?" They're like, well, most of the time we just put you on like a limb and we'll try to get you on like a med board." And I was like, what is that? Like, I've never heard of a med board.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like basically they just evaluate you to see if you're still fit for duty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in my case, I wasn't, and I got separated.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But
so
this was after they'd done significant evaluations. There was I remember a
oh yeah.
big bungling of the process of trying to get you to see like an off base specialist, and they did MRIs with contrast and stuff
Yeah,
like
which
that.
that was another story too, because like I went to go do my MRI and like it was painful for me because they have to numb it, your hip,
Mm-hmm.
and that's painful because they put the numbing medication like exactly where my injury is and it burns because it's numbing medication.
Yeah.
And then they had to put the dye in and it was like the worst pain that I've like ever felt. Even though it's just dye, but it's going into like the cavity where my injury is. So
Right.
that was super painful. And they tried to get me to come back to my shop right after I got like the anesthesia or whatever. Like I had to go into the waiting room and like wait for it to kick in or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And they like called me And like I was like legit about to leave with the numbing medication like in my hip. I was like, I have to reschedule this MRI. Like my command's forcing me to come back to my shop, and I'm a private. Like I can't do anything. So it didn't happen because the sailor at the desk or whatever, he was like, no, you can't leave. Like this is a medical procedure. We're in the middle of it. You cannot leave. I Give me your phone. Like, and he told them like, hey, basically fuck off. Like so.
Good.
And
Thanks
the
to that
only
sailor.
reason, yeah, the only reason for that was because of the stupid fucking blues like questionnaire that we had to do for females or whatever. And like that was it. I didn't have to do anything at work. They just wanted me to do a fucking survey.
Oh
And
my
they were like
god.
fucking barking down my throat about it. Like,
While you're in the middle of getting a medical procedure
yeah, it's like, okay.
to help remedy the injury that is causing them to treat you like dog shit every day.
Yeah.
I love your command. They sound like really cool people. Just the best.
Yeah. And I'm blurred again.
That's okay. It'll come back. There you are. So you get the med board, you get separated, and then and how at that point, how long did Cam still have? Because I think I was out or by the or like pretty
I think I had
close.
like a year. Probably like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. And I still had my original EA at state, so I'm supposed to get out 2020 this year. Or October this year.
Right. Okay. So about how long after that did you find out about Grace?
When did I find out that I was pregnant?
Well, actually, let's not get too far ahead. Like, how? So when you got separated, were you like relieved or were you disappointed? Like, were you? What was your mind state when you were like, okay, I'm out of the Marine Corps, I have full disability, I have veteran status and everything. I don't have to deal with those fuck knuckles anymore. Where was your head at when you were like, okay, I'm done, I'm out.
Well, when I got the med board, because they have to like send you your findings and you have to like accept them or whatever, so that you can either like challenge them or like accept it, basically. And so like I had a meeting with my PEB board officer, excuse me, which is just the I don't remember what it stands for, but the guy who helps you, it's a civilian, he helps you with your med board process, make
Uh-huh.
sure like everything like is in order and you have all the right paperwork and things like that. Like he told me that I was found unfit, and I was like, first I was like devastated because I was like, oh, I really do have this injury, like it really is that bad. Um, and I can't fix it, and I can't do this again. Like, I don't get another go at the Marine Corps. This was my only shot, and this is my outcome. So it was pretty devastating at first, but
Mm-hmm.
like thinking about my injury, like it is that bad, and staying in the Marine Corps was not going to help it.
Right.
So if I would have stayed in, it would have been significantly worse. And like I think getting out was the best choice for me,
That's good.
even though like it sucked.
Yeah. I mean, it hindsight is 2020. I mean, now especially having, had Grace and everything that, you know, there is a life outside the Marine Corps and you're doing great.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, dude, like I can't imagine having a persistent hip injury and trying to do Marine Corps shit for another 2.5 years at that point.
Yeah.
Like that,
And I had
God.
already like put it off for a while. Like when I first got there, I told my NCO about it, and she was like, you just need to stretch it. Like it's just you just have to stretch it. And I was like, okay, well, she's my NCO. I'm gonna listen to her. Like I'm gonna stretch it, whatever. And
Yeah.
that like
Just
made it
drink
worse.
drink more water, change your socks.
Basically, yeah,
Here's some Motrin. You're good.
you're good. And
Yeah.
she hated that like I was on the med board. Like I had to tell them obviously that I was gonna be put on a med board, and she was like, "Don't you know what happens like if you put on your med board? Like you get separated. You want to get out of the Marine Corps? Like you want to be separated?" And I was like, "Dog, my fucking hip is broke. Like stop. Like stop. Stop. Like just stop."
Also, wasn't this the NCO that unked on the range like 10 times?
Twice, yeah. She
I
young
mean,
twice.
yeah.
And if
So,
seeing the order, you're not supposed to fucking do that.
yep. Unking for again for non-Marines. I like trying to. The Marine Corps is so rife with acronyms and
Yeah.
shorthand and stuff that I try to break it down. Although most of our listeners are military, but unking is when you go to the range and you don't shoot the minimum requirements, which is fucking impossible. It's not hard.
Like, if you just pay attention, like, you'll shoot. Just do what they tell you, and you'll shoot.
Yeah, I mean, unking on the range, it's like everybody that I knew was shot rifle expert. Like, and that's the highest echelon or the highest score bracket. And there were a few sharpshooters here and there,
I
most
was a
of whom
sharpshooter.
don't you wear glasses though?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has a huge looking through ACOGs when you have glasses is not easy.
Shit was the
But
worst.
yeah, so but you shot sharpshooter, you're vision impaired, and
Like, I am blind.
yeah, and there's still another score bracket below sharpshooter, and then
Yeah.
you unk. Like and the in the order, like you mentioned, if you unk twice in a row, you're I don't know if you're supposed to I don't know what the consequences are. I know you're supposed to be
Kicked
non-rec.
out. Kicked out.
Really?
Out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be kicked out.
I
Because
don't.
you're supposed to be a basically trained Marine, and you can't fucking shoot your rifle. Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm pretty sure Cameron told me. He was like, yeah, you're supposed to be, like, what is it called? Like,
I know you get non-rect for promotion, but
yeah. Oh, and she got promoted, like, right after that. So
yeah.
she got sergeant after unking twice. So tell me how that makes it.
Yeah, well, let's just go ahead and lift up this rug and just sweep that right underneath. That's the Marine Corps for you, baby.
God,
Yeah. Okay, so
ridiculous.
you get out and you're struggling with it cuz I know you did want to be in the Marine Corps. But it wasn't it was probably within 6 months that you found out you were pregnant, right? Maybe
Yeah, I
maybe a
think
year?
so.
Maybe
I
maybe
can't
within a year?
remember. Yeah, because I think I found out that I was pregnant, like,
Were you still in California when you found out?
yeah,
Yeah.
because we had the gender reveal. You and Lexi threw it.
Oh yeah. Oh God, my memory sucks. Well, I was
I
smoking weed all the time then, so.
think,
Yeah, that
but I don't.
was fun though. Throwing the gender reveal, that was a good time.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, because I got pregnant and they sent me to a different command. So I got out in August. Um,
Oh yeah, wait, you were
January,
pregnant when you were
February,
still
March,
in,
April,
right?
May, June, July, August. Yeah. So I think I found out. I think I found out like May I was pregnant. I think.
Oh.
Pretty sure. Yeah, and like literally as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, they sent me to a different command. It was like that easy. It's like, why didn't you just fucking switch me here anyway? Because it was a detachment, and it
Mhm.
was like I literally had a brand new command. It was like brand new people, and they were like the sweetest fucking Marines that like I've ever met. It was like staffing CEOs like cared about their Marines, and like one time I had my head down because I was pregnant and I had just thrown up like in the head or whatever, and like the staff sergeant just walked by and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "You're talking to me?" I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, I'm okay. I'm sorry." Like I said sorry for like having my head down because like
Well, at your
fucking
old
nobody
command,
gives
you
a
would have
shit.
been
Yeah.
kicked in the ass for it,
Yeah.
and
And
that
they
was
were still like barfing, like not barfing, but I guess like screaming down my throat when I was pregnant. Like I could have lost her like very early.
yikes. God,
Yeah.
I hate those people. But
Me too.
so so you're pregnant, you're getting out. That's a whole other host of
That was so fucking
stressors.
crazy. Yeah, because I still had to go to my appointments. Like I had to like make sure that I wasn't like gonna stress out my baby, obviously, and myself.
Right.
Um, and then we also had to move out of the apartment, move on base. I had to switch commands.
Mhm.
Um, do all my ped board, like my med board stuff, and then move across country and get out of the Marine Corps. Like stressful last time.
Yeah.
Shit was
And that was
crazy.
not, that was what, like, how many months was that whole time period? Because it was
I think
not
I had
long.
like, yeah, I think I had 2 months before I EAS, before I got med boarded, that I found out my new what is it, EAS date.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like relative. It was like 3 months. Or
And then Cam got out right around the same time.
yeah, he got out like a week before I did,
Okay.
something like that.
And
But
then
he
you
had
guys
a
just skedaddled back over to Virginia.
yeah, like the
Shit,
day before
man.
my birthday. Yeah, it's crazy. And then we had to like find a house too.
On the other side of the country.
Yeah, we had to be put in temporary apartments with a cat, also Molly.
Rest in
Find a
peace, Molly.
house. Yeah, yeah, rip Molly. But we had to find a house and like close on it before I gave birth.
Yeah.
Shit was insane.
And wasn't there like a, I don't know, I think that was Cooper actually. Because I remember Cooper was getting out and he was like about to lose, he was like going to lose his TRICARE benefits something like 10 days before Morgan was due to give birth to Amela. And
Oh
so they
no.
had to figure out how to like squat on base basically so that they could give birth in the naval hospital so that they didn't
Dang.
have to pay for everything.
Yeah.
I always got that mixed up because I know you guys had been over there for a little while before you gave birth though.
Yeah, I gave birth not on base. I
Right.
could have, but I did not want to.
Yeah. Yikes. And then so you get out to Virginia. Your house is dope. Like
Thanks.
it's awesome. And then so you give birth and so what was obviously I will never understand what it's like to, you know, have a baby. Um but where was your mind at after just, you know, you just get done with this already like this year really of just insane tumultuous Marine Corps bullshit,
Yeah.
injury, getting separated, moving across the country. Now you have a fucking brand new baby.
Yeah, well, it was like 2 years that I was like in. I was in for almost 2 years. It was
Right.
like a month or
Mm-hmm.
two. But yeah. After I had her, I was like mainly focused on losing the weight. Like I felt like I had to lose the weight in such a short amount of time because I thought I was gonna have her while I was still in. So I was already like trying to prepare myself to like lose all the weight in like 3 months, I think is the time limit that you have. Um so
Which
when I
is
didn't do that, I
ridiculous.
like yeah, I beat myself up over it. And I saw like all these female Marines that I had like gone to boot camp with and stuff who had like had babies and stuff and they like lost all the weight and they're like, still active duty and stuff like that. And I was like, well, how are they like I was comparing myself and that's, thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was not okay after I had her. I was not okay after I got out, like at all. I just recently started to be like feel normal again, like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's 17 months old yesterday, so she's almost a year and a half. Like
Yeah.
took that much of a toll.
Well, I
And
mean,
they were
it's
like, even when I was in, they were like hounding me about my weight before I had found out that I was pregnant.
mm-hmm.
So I had already felt like she would say things like, "Oh, don't you want to look good for your husband? Like, don't you want to work out and stuff for your husband?" Things like that. Like, so it was just really hard on me.
Yeah. And it was even harder, to stay in shape and it would have been harder to lose the weight that quickly um after having Grace because your hip doesn't fucking work.
Yeah, like it's not like I can like go running and stuff
Yeah.
like to really work, and I can't really squat. Like now it's different because like I'm doing like yoga and things like that, but then like I like really couldn't do anything because my body was under so much stress like from being in my command like that it made my injury like that much worse.
Yeah.
So there was really like nothing that I could do without being fucking in pain.
Yeah. But it's, you mentioned that what was it like, for those 15 months, before these last couple months? You were struggling with your self image, physically, because you wanted to get that weight off, and you didn't reach that goal that you set for yourself. Um, you were raising a baby, which is not fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like, can't relate, but
It's not easy.
I can't imagine. And Cam's working. You're not really, all of your, like, you're not, you didn't seem like you were alone out there in Virginia, but like, because you have family there and whatnot, but you know they're, you can't rely on them all the time. You can't just, and you don't want to dump Grace on them all the time so that you can
Yeah.
go to the gym or whatever.
And they live 2 hours away, so it's not like I can
Yeah,
just swing by and be like, hey,
yeah, that's true. I forgot about
it's
that.
just good. It's just a good thing.
A little distance is healthy for sure. Lexi and I just, kind of a quick sidebar. Lexi and I just, we just finished moving in. We finally mounted our fucking TVs like a few days ago. I think it was on Wednesday. And dude, just having our own space where, like, if we don't want to hang out with her family, we don't have to. Oh,
Yeah.
the best. I love them. Don't get me wrong. If they're listening to
Yeah,
this,
but
which they're not, you know, I loved living with you. I'm glad I'm not anymore. But no, it's definitely healthy to have that little bit of separation. But so you don't have that like plugged in support system all the time, and you were kind of on the fence about work, going back to school, so how did that kind of, what was the roller coaster, what was the path that you took kind of getting through all that? You were playing video games and stuff with Cam, hanging out with Grace. Was there anything that when were like the big decisions made where you were like, all right, I'm going to go back to school, I'm not going to go back to school? You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I'd always like thought about school, but like I just I've never like wanted to go to school, to be honest. Like I don't know. That's why I joined the Marine Corps in the first place, because I was like, school's not for me. Like I have a hard time paying attention, and like I don't know. Like I have a hard time around a lot of people. I have really bad anxiety, which after I got out, I found out about. Which makes sense for all the
Yeah,
shit.
100%.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't want to go to school, but I was like constantly depressed, like constantly in a state of like sadness,
Mm-hmm.
like constantly. It was like if I wasn't depressed, then I was like really, really anxious.
Just one or the other.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so it was just really hard. Um, and Cameron was the one, he was like, you should probably like go to like therapy and stuff like that, because like you're not getting any better, and I could see the toll that it's taking on you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I
so
mean,
I did that.
well, that's good. I mean, I remember when we came out to visit, just you, it was great to see you, and I could tell that you were happy that we were there. But I was like, I could tell, and so could Lexi, and obviously so could Cam, that like, you just needed, you hadn't had a break of any kind. You got into the Marine Corps, and it was just fucking red line from then to then. Like from when you
Yeah.
enlisted to when we went to see you, it was just like one high octane, high stress situation after another with like zero breaks.
Yeah.
Like when I was in class in school, like probably three or four semesters ago, now. It's been a little while. But I was like, actually, it was when we moved out the first time. So, it was February of 2019. No, 18. I don't know. Anyway, um, we moved out and the GI Bill was delayed, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, which was a fucking drag. But so I was going to school. I was taking like 13 or 14 units. And in order to make ends meet, I was still working at BJ's, but I was a food runner. And so I was working like 6 or 7 days a week plus school. And, we were just hemorrhaging money. And so it was like a solid like 6 month period of just no rest, no like reprieve or anything. And it was
Yeah.
like a much lower, like, like the stakes were way lower then than in the situation that you were in. You were
Yeah.
dealing with getting out of the Marine Corps. That's what this entire show is about. That shit is not fucking easy. you know, you had a baby. How many books and movies and songs and, whatever are about how fucking hard it is to have a baby?
Yeah.
And it was just like back to back to back. So like I can't even imagine it.
Yeah, and I didn't even like really have time to process getting out of the Marine Corps. Like I didn't have time to like breathe as a civilian really.
Mm-hmm.
Like we kind of did, but like I couldn't drink, like I couldn't smoke weed right after I got out because I was pregnant, obviously. Like I don't know. That's not important, but like I just felt like I couldn't, like I just didn't have that like transition. Like
Yeah, I
so that's
mean,
why it was like really hard for me to like, I don't know, see myself in the weight that I haven't lost. Like
mm,
that's all I could see.
yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't have time to be Brittany again. You went
Yeah.
from PFC Barts or Lance Corporal Barts straight to
I'm a
Grace's
mom
mom.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, it like with no break in between. There was no time where you were like, I am a civilian again. I can do what I want to do. I can enjoy the things that I want to enjoy and
Yeah.
then be pregnant. It was just bam. And I mean that shit hasn't really it's I'm assuming it's getting a little bit easier, because, you've mentioned that it's, things are starting to, take a turn for the better, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm really really happy for you. But and I'm sure that's not in any small or that's, in no small part due to the fact that Grace is getting a little bit older. She doesn't need constant, you know, 100% supervision and, your
Yeah.
undivided attention 100% of the time. You have time to do things like, go to restaurants, cook your own food, do yoga, play Minecraft or whatever.
Yeah.
You can be a person, um, which, I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, it's really nice. And like coming from such a low place, like, cause I'm not sure if Cameron ever told you, but like, when I was in, like just the weight of them, like doing the shit constantly, like I was ready to like kill myself. And just the like drastic change of like that low to like seeing your baby for the first time is like so different. It's like such a different experience. And just like being her mom and seeing like I'm teaching her things that she's like learning and
Mm-hmm.
she's like walking and stuff like that. Um, sorry.
That's okay.
But
That's
it's
really
just,
cute.
yeah, it's just crazy because I just didn't see that. I just couldn't imagine myself happy.
But now,
So,
but then
yeah.
you see her doing these things and that makes you happy.
Yeah, it's like I'm directly like influencing her happiness. Like I make her so happy.
Yeah, and it's so cool to like the idea of, you know me and you know that I am not good with kids, and I mean I adore Grace, but I can't imagine being a parent. But the idea of like building a person, not just physically, like, that you everything that makes her her came from you.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam helped a little bit, but like
Like a little bit.
a very little bit
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. But you know, that all came from you, and then now that she's her own little person, you're building her into a person. Like she's a complete blank slate and an
Uh-huh.
information sponge, and you're teaching her how to do shit, and then when you see her doing that thing that you taught her, that's got to be
Yeah.
so cool. That's
And
why
she's
I
like
can't wait to come
speaking
back
and
and
stuff.
teach her all the bad words. I
Yeah.
can't I can't wait to come back to Virginia and be like, "All right, this is how you say fuck and this is when you use it." It's the most
And she would
versatile.
definitely say it.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously totally joking. Maybe.
Devin's not.
Um
Devin does that shit all the time.
I believe that. How is it having Devin and Capri there? Is it nice?
That's pretty nice, yeah. It's pretty nice. We like watch movies and stuff sometimes. We want to start doing like a game night, but we're all usually like really tired.
Well, there's actually a game that Lexi and I just bought. It's called So after that very heartfelt conversation, you're gonna be really mad. But it's called Bears versus Babies,
Okay.
and um, so we got that, and then we got the Not Safe for Work expansion pack. And so basically, the way you play it is there's like these stacks of cards, and then there's monster parts and babies, and you have like a certain number of actions per turn, but you draw these cards and they're like heads, bodies, arms, or legs, or babies. And if it's a baby, you put it in one of these piles for the different like kinds of baby. There's like air, water, and land or something. And then the monster types correspond to those. And so you have to build these monsters to fight these baby armies. And if you beat the babies, you keep the points, and that's how you win. Dude, it's so fucking fun. Especially because
That's
like
pretty
when
cool.
when you get the Not Safe for Work pack, it's like you get parts that are like a pair of legs, and it's like a guy whose dick like is playing the banjo or something like that. And it's so absurd. But it came with a condom. Like the pack came with a condom, and on the wrapper it says use this or the babies win.
Oh yeah.
It was so good.
Dang.
But yeah, it's really cheap. We got it on Amazon, but if you're looking for a game night, that's like the easiest, like one of the funniest games ever.
What is it called?
It's called Bears versus Babies. It's in like this box that's like covered in fur. It's really funny.
Bears first baby. I'm just gonna look it up and then.
Yeah, do it. It's so but
Oh,
you
I see it.
you have to get the expansion pack. That's what makes it like that's what makes it.
Funny. Okay.
But but I'm glad you have those guys there because, I know Devin loves Grace and, wants
Yeah.
to help with her and stuff. And now you guys are both you're all getting super cool computers, and you're playing those video games,
Yeah.
hanging out
Got my
together.
computer.
Yeah. Which I'm stoked for you
It's
about.
pretty nice.
It's
Yeah.
very nice. But
Very nice.
so you mentioned, we're kind of reaching the end of the story, but you mentioned that the last couple months you felt like yourself again. So when did you kind of notice that you were feeling better? Because I've kind of reached a point now where I can tell when like I'm starting to feel shitty again, and
Yeah,
then
me
I
too.
and then I can tell when I'm starting to feel better. So when were you like, "Oh, I feel good," for you know what I mean? Like a couple months ago?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it took me a while to actually like go to counseling because I did it in the Marine Corps and like if you're it's kind of heavy, but like if you're a suicidal Marine and your command knows about it, they'll usually put you like in the duty hut. Um, so I could never really like get honest with her and be like truthful. She did a really good job, but I just was too afraid to be like reprimanded for being like suicidal.
Yeah.
Um, so it took me a really long time after I had her to like actually go. And I went, and my therapist, she was like, "Yeah, you have anxiety. Like you have like really bad anxiety." And she was like, "Well, talking doesn't seem to be helping. Like it doesn't seem to be your like I guess beneficial therapy."
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, "We can look into medication and see if that's what you want to do." So I tried that and like immediately felt better.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like,
She put me on or my doctor put me on Lexapro.
mm-hmm.
That's been like really nice.
That's
It's
good,
like I
dude.
can like breathe again.
Yeah.
Like I can like see. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's it. Medication isn't the only answer for a lot of people, but and you know it takes some trial and error to figure out the right one usually.
Yeah.
But fuck, dude, when it works, it works.
Yeah. And I had no idea that like I had anxiety. Like I just thought I was like really nervous about doing things. Like I've had it as long as I can remember and I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, and in the Marine Corps, like I noticed that after I got out too, that
Excuse
like
me.
I found myself like looking back on memories about like random shit like the PFT. Like when I would go and like go up to the pull-up bar to do pull-ups on a PFT or something, I would be like on the verge of having a panic attack. But at the time, I was just like, well, I'm worked up. Like it's time to work out or
Yeah, it's
something.
just yeah.
It just kind of was how I was feeling. But then in retrospect, I'm like, no, that's not normal. Like I shouldn't be feeling like that
Yeah.
to do something that I do all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was like I would get so anxious about talking to like people who had rank, and it wasn't because of their rank, it was just like because I was talking to them.
Oh,
And I was just like so how fucking the mouths is, like the whole goddamn mouths. They're all like how my command was. Like that's why nobody said anything. And there was like a few shops that weren't, like that, but obviously they couldn't really do anything.
yeah.
Um,
But I'm glad that
but
that's
yeah.
helping, dude, and that you're kind of realizing that, you know, it's not always like that. Life shouldn't be like that, you know?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to feel scared about talking to another person, you know?
Yeah.
Especially because you've got so much other shit on your plate. You've got a baby, you've got a husband, you've got your friends living in your house, you have a house.
Yeah.
You're at this crossroads where you can go to school, you can not go to school, you could go to work, you could, just focus full time on, hanging out with Grace, and it's the weird thing too is that in these random, strange quarantine times, it's like nobody knows what to do about anything.
Yeah.
You know, I was fortunate in that I could keep working, but like everyone's on edge all the time. So it's almost better to just kind of bask in the fact that you feel like yourself again for a while until
Yeah,
things
and
start getting back to normal.
yeah, I like kind of felt guilty because I started feeling better like when this quarantine stuff like happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have a problem with being quarantined. I have really bad anxiety. I don't like being around a lot of people. I don't like being around people.
Yeah.
So this does not bother me.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people feel like that. Like Lexi was talking to me about it, and she was saying that, she feels guilty over the fact that she doesn't mind the quarantine because,
Yeah.
she was working so much that she was just stressed out all the time. And then, she got laid off like pretty much everybody at BJ's did. And then
Damn.
but she was making she was making so much money in unemployment that it was essentially the same amount of money that she was making at work, but she could just not work and not
Yeah.
get screamed at by Karens over not having dressing on the side and shit like that. So she was like, but she felt bad about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, dude, I get it. you know Part of me wishes that I was laid off for, I mean, a little while. I think I would have gotten really bored,
Yeah.
but that was the problem is with the podcast. Like when we first got quarantined, I was still only working like 2 or 3 days a week, And I was like, dope. I have so much fucking free time. Like, I'm going to put
Yeah.
out like 3 podcast episodes a week. Like, this is awesome. And then all my classes went online, and then I started working 5 days a week. And so no podcast for Collie Boy. But yeah, so it's we're getting through it. I hope this doesn't last too much longer, because I don't think, there are some people that are like cool with it, but a lot of people coming in to my job are like, I just want to fucking get out of the house. Like, I can't. It's a lot of people with kids.
Yeah.
They're like, I need to get
I want
away
to get
from.
out of the house.
Yeah, they're like, I need to get away from my fucking children. I'm like, can't relate, bro. Sorry.
You're just getting a little bored in here.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, all the video games in the world can't replace, actual genuine human interaction.
Yeah.
But that's why I was so excited to do this with you. Is one, I was excited to do the podcast again, but two, we've been talking. I know you've been doing a little bit better, and the quarantine has kind of been a nice little breath of fresh air. You could take a deep breath for once.
Yeah.
And I was like, this might be good to just get out to people.
Yeah, when you first asked me to do this, I was like, I kind of want to, but like, I'm like really anxious about it. And I think that was before I had gone to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure.
Maybe.
Something like that.
Well, the thing is like Cam had the same, reservations about it when I asked him to do it. Like when I first started, I did like I did like my episode, I think. I don't even know if I'd interviewed anybody yet. And I asked him, and he was like, I'm good, man. Like, I don't think I really have anything to say that would fit your message. And I was like,
Yeah, that's how I felt.
yeah. And I was like, okay, man, I get it. It's your story to share or not. It's not, I don't hold rights to your, your life story. But, he told me that after listening to, like Cooper's and Micah's interviews, and, hearing them get like so honest about their mental state and how poor it was, and, stuff like that. And he was like, well, Cam, he just was like, you know what, I can talk about this, because I think and that was the whole idea, was to make people feel comfortable with the fact that they've been uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, feel like they can talk about it, so that other people who feel uncomfortable feel comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
But that's why it was good to, I wanted to have you on, especially because your experience in the Marine Corps and outside of it is not necessarily unique. I'm sure there are a lot of females out there who have experienced something similar to your experience in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And, obviously there are a lot of females out there that have had children. But
A few.
one or two. But, nobody that I've had on so far has experienced either of those things. And so I thought it'd be cool to get that interesting little perspective out there. And I just wanted to talk to you, catch up.
I didn't know if I had anything to like talk about, really.
Well,
to be honest.
I mean, that's why it's just a chat. I don't have interview questions or anything like that. I don't have a notepad or anything. It's just that's why I like talking and, letting it kind of progress organically, is because it makes people feel more comfortable. I feel stuffy if I'm like, and how is that working out for you? Like Dr. Phil,
Yeah.
That's not,
Yeah.
I don't like that, and I don't want to. That's why I like the longer interviews. That allows people to expound on their, their views and their experiences more, instead of saying like, so, when you enlisted, what was your recruiter's name? This. Okay, next question. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody likes that. But, when people feel comfortable talking about, their experience, it allows them to give other people some insight into their perspective on the experiences that they had, it allows people to think about maybe what they would have done in those situations, or how they would have coped, or, if they find themselves in that kind of situation in the future, what didn't work for other people, what did work. That's the whole point, is to establish, this compendium of dialogue to help people just get through the day, man. Like, there have been a lot of people that I've talked to, yourself included, that, it's been touch and go, either directly or indirectly from their experiences in the Marine Corps. And I think there are a lot of people out there who have been in that position for one reason or another. And it's okay to not be okay. But I'm glad you're okay.
Thanks, I am too. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, it was it was a tough go for you, man. It was a tough go.
Yeah.
But, what do you now that the majority of that is behind you, it's an ongoing process being okay. But now that you're kind of not on the other side of the hill, but you're through the tunnel for now, what's the plan going forward? Do you have
right
one?
now,
Or are you just kind of winging it?
I thought about doing YouTube. I'm still looking into it, but I don't know. I wanted to go to school to be a vet originally, but then I was like, I don't know if I could put animals to sleep, because after Molly, like, we had to put her to sleep, and like that was just really hard. I was like, I can't do that.
Well, one of my friends,
like, I want to help animals and stuff, but
yeah. Well, one of my friends from we're like an actual veterinarian, or like a vet tech.
Yeah. Well, I thought about like both. I couldn't really decide on like which one I wanted to do, but
well, a woman that I worked with at BJ's was a fully certified vet tech, and had gone to school for however many years. It's a lot. And she was a bartender because she made more money bartending than she would have as a vet tech. So but yeah, I don't think I could put animals down either.
Yeah.
But
so then I wanted to do like psychology when I started doing like my counseling and things like that, but I was like, I don't know, I just don't think school is like my thing.
It's not for
maybe one day,
man.
But just not right now. I just don't want to go to school right now.
Yeah.
Especially with Grace, like, when am I going to be able to like study and things like that?
Right. Yeah. It's tough when they're that little, I've heard, But so
I mean, there's people who do it, but
yeah, but it's possible, but if it's not right for you, it's not right for you right now.
Yeah, and I don't want to like force myself to like go to school.
Yeah, just because you think you
should,
maybe. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
What were you gonna do? What are you thinking of doing on YouTube? Are you gonna like stream and like stream video games, or I remember you were super into like makeup and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I definitely don't want to be like a beauty influencer. I was gonna do like motherhood and like lifestyle videos, like vlogging and type things.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot of research on it, and like how to build your channel and things like that, but equipment's expensive, and I'm just like, I just don't know if this, obviously I don't know if this is gonna like work out.
Well, I mean, if just content creation, I've learned first through streaming and now through this, is it's impossible to predict, but there's no guarantee it'll take off. But if it's something you enjoy doing, it's something you enjoy doing. It may not work out as a financially lucrative career, but worst case scenario, you buy a camera, you start making some cool videos, they help some people out, and you move on.
Yeah.
You still help those people.
Yeah, and I think that would be like a really fun thing for me, because I can do it at home. Like, I can do like baby tips and things like that. Like, there's a whole bunch of like things that I can do with
Yeah.
this type of like niche,
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. I mean,
But just like actually doing it.
I'm all for encouraging people to do content creation because it's extremely rewarding. Like just here, like when I first started the podcast, I would like obsessively look at the numbers and the downloads on my episodes because I was like, oh my god, like so many more people than I thought are listening. Like this is so exciting. I'm so proud. Like people are enjoying this. Like this is so nice. Um, it's really fulfilling, and you know you love being a mom, you're a good mom. So like if
Yeah,
you
like
could,
this is like the only thing I really enjoy. Oh, thank you though.
well, yeah, of course, you know,
Cute.
but if you if that's the only thing you really enjoy and you want to bring that joy to other people, fucking do it, man. Even if it's with a $25 webcam and a fucking, I don't know, like $40 mic. you know you don't need $1,000 video camera and backdrop and a MacBook Pro or a Mac Pro
Yeah.
to be able to put together a YouTube video.
I'm doing that. I have to learn like the editing and things like that. Like thumbnails are important. Like there's like a whole
I
bunch
don't
of
know
stuff.
I don't know dick about doing thumbnails, but I can
Yeah, I don't either.
teach you I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of shit on YouTube about video editing, so
Yeah, they have like an academy like thing that you can like learn how to be like basically a YouTuber on YouTube.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, they have like little videos and things like for things that you're like looking into.
Dope.
It's pretty cool.
I should probably check that out.
I'll like send it to you. I forgot. I think it's just YouTube Academy, but I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. But I mean, I think we covered everything. Is there anything else you want to pass on? Like any uh any advice or any pitfalls to avoid or anything like that you learned that you'd like to pass on?
Um, well, if I could tell my past self something, it'd basically just be to not wait. Because he wasn't like pushing me to go to therapy and things like that, but like I very clearly needed therapy and I didn't go. Uh, and I think I could be a lot better by now if I would have went like then.
Yeah.
So just don't hesitate on it because it's helpful and like medication isn't for everyone like you said, but it like significantly helps me and I think it could help a lot of people too.
Okay. Sounds good. So, yeah, I mean, and I agree with that 100%. Like I went at that time that I was telling you about when I was in school. Um I went to the VA and I didn't have a very good experience. Um but I didn't really follow up with it because I wasn't super like aware of the resources that I had available to me. But
Yeah.
I mean, it helped. It definitely didn't hurt, and I've been to therapy before, so and a lot of people that I know have. I think people still are kind of in this headspace that's kind of a holdover from you know you know several decades ago, where like you know if they tell someone they're in therapy, it's like weird and stigmatized, and I don't think it's like that anymore. At least it shouldn't be, because it's so beneficial. You don't need to be
Yeah.
on the verge of having a breakdown to go and talk to somebody that has no, their only vested interest is in making you feel better.
Yeah.
It's never a bad time to do that. So I agree with you completely. Anything else?
Um, oh,
All right.
that's about it.
Sounds good. It was fucking good talking to you, dude.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you, man.
I'm really glad I could have you on, and I'm really excited to come out eventually and see Grace, or just please come to California.
Yeah, I want to go so bad.
Yeah, please do.
We've been missing California so much. Like,
Just come out for the
should
food or
stay
something,
there.
man.
Yes, the sushi. There's trash sushi here. It's so bad.
Well, I mean,
It's
are you
Grace.
near the ocean at all? Not really. I mean, not
Mm,
really.
not really.
No.
It's like I don't even know where the beach is around here actually, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's why whenever I get sushi here, I'm like, this is pretty fresh. It was probably
Yeah.
caught in San Diego. Like, I know. Gotta come out and
Missed
get
it.
gotta come out and get that sushi.
And the burritos.
Mm-hmm.
It's good shit.
Definitely. All right, dude. Well, thanks again. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. Thank you again for listening. I hope you enjoyed my episode with Brittaney Barts. I really appreciate everyone sticking with me during that kind of weird time in between my last release and this episode. I know it was a while, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there. Once again, go ahead and follow the Instagram at hutb.podcast. That's where you can get, the updates about new episodes and things like that. But I just wanted to thank you guys. Seriously, I appreciate all the support, and for those of you who reached out, making sure that I wasn't just fucking off completely, and that I would continue putting out content. I really appreciate you all. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.
You know you're one thing